Yeah, in the last class, we were trying to talk about how to calculate the stresses, all because of the self-fit of the soil itself. But in the case of seepage, when the seepage is taking place through the soil, so how to calculate the stresses in the soil is what we have seen, both for seepage in the downward direction or in the upward direction. So whatever is the case, we have seen how to calculate the stresses. And next is what we'll go ahead and seeing is solving some problems. Okay, so before I go further in solving the problems, let me make one point clear so that it will be useful for us while solving the problem. Yeah, this term what we could see in this expression. Okay, either for the case of upward seepage or downward seepage condition, when we have represented the expression for sigma c dash, that's the effective stress at any position within your soil sample, if I want to calculate. So we said we have one term here and the other term is this. And we said this is nothing but it is a stress corresponding to the submerged condition of the soil. And this is that stress are the pressure with regard to that of the seepage, what is taking place to the soil. And we have called this term, that is, I need not refer it as I critical every time, because I'll be writing I as I critical only when it is a critical state, and that critical state where the corresponding I, which we call it as the hydraulic gradient, as critical hydraulic gradient, that's only the case when your quicksand condition or sand boiling is taking place. Okay, so that is only the case. And maybe I might have not referred, your critical hydraulic gradient in general varies somewhere in between 0.9 to 1.1 for different type of sandy soil deposits. So on an average, most of the times this I critical value is considered to be approximately equal to 1. Okay, so this in this expression, general expression is I into Z into gamma W. So that I into Z into gamma W is nothing but we call it as seepage pressure. Or rather, I can also refer it as seepage force per unit cross-sectional area of the soil sample. How much is the seepage force acting per unit cross-sectional area of the soil sample? Now, in case if you are asked to calculate how much is the seepage force per unit volume of the soil sample, then what happens is this Z term is not going to be there. Because once we say volume, then this particular I into Z into gamma W by Z, that is the depth value, is what we'll divide it with. Then what I'll have is only I into gamma W, which defines me what is called as here seepage force per unit volume of the soil. Okay, just for your reference, I am trying to mention this so that now this will be useful for us while solving the problem. Okay, so whatever we have been talking about in the first slide, when I started talking about how to calculate the stresses in the soil, I said stresses in the soil will be because of the self-weight of the soil as well as because of the surface load. Surface load is nothing but any external loading which is acting on the ground or on the soil strata. So as we have already said, like this particular course will be focusing only on how to calculate the stresses in the ground or in the soil because of the self-weight only. That's the effect of gravity force only. Just to give you an idea, like what is that we are going to be dealing in the case of stresses that we calculate due to the surface load. So where all generally we come across with the stresses due to the surface load mean, so in all the cases wherever we are going to analyze the bearing capacity of foundation, understanding how much is the compressibility that takes place in the soil strata, or in the analysis of stability of embankments, or when we estimate the lateral pressure in the case of retaining structures. Okay, so in all that different cases, not just only confined to these 3-4 problems, what I am referring to. So in majority of the cases, wherever you have an external loading or a superstructure existing, any kind of structure existing, so you will see loading coming from that structure onto the soil strata, in addition to that of the existing self-weight of the soil. Okay, so because of that additional stress, what is getting transferred, we are going to see how much extra stresses. And because of that additional loading what is getting transferred onto the soil, some additional stresses will also be getting generated because of the additional load what is coming onto the soil strata. That is what we call it as stress, particularly due to the surface load, which is nothing but the load which is acting on the surface of your ground. It can be in the form of your external loading directly acting, or maybe an superstructural load, or whatever different kind of loading conditions. Okay, whenever you have such kind of surface load or any kind of superstructural load, an additional load which is over and above the consideration of your gravity force. So what is going to happen is an additional stress is getting generated in the ground, and where do we see that additional stress to be maximum? And as the load distribution happens from ground to the deeper depths of the ground, so what is going to happen? All that we are going to be mostly focusing, or rather we'll be focusing in the case of your foundation engineering course. Okay, so how does the stress distribution takes place? Immediately wherever your load is acting, there you are going to see maximum stress, because the load whatever is coming initially will be acting only on a smaller area, and from that smaller area, due to the particle to particle interaction, it gets distributed over a larger area as you move into the deeper and deeper depths. Okay, so wherever that particular load is acting, the intensity of the stress what you are going to be calculating is going to be relatively high. And how do we calculate that intensity of stress? What are the approaches by which we'll be talking about the estimation of intensity of stresses? That we'll be looking in the next subsequent course, that is our foundation engineering course. Go ahead in seeing how to calculate some of the problems or how to solve some of the problems related to this particular concept what we have talked about, that is stresses in the soil with seepage, without seepage. Okay, so in case if I am coming across with the condition without seepage, then how to calculate your total stress, or maybe your pore water pressure, that's nothing but otherwise also called as your neutral stress, and the other stress is effective stress. So how do we calculate that in case of no seepage, and subsequently in the case of seepage, and even in the case of no seepage also, because of the effect of capillarity, then how do we calculate the stresses? All that few different cases we'll try to look in today's class. So please look at this particular problem what is given. It's mentioned that you have a soil profile which is given in the figure. You are asked to calculate the total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress at different points in the soil strata. That is at point A, at point B, at point C, and at point D. In addition to this, apart from calculating the total stress only at those points, if I am also asked to calculate the plot the variation of your total stress with the depth, neutral stress with the depth, effective stress with the depth. That's nothing but plotting in the sense, how is your total stress varying with the depth of the soil strata, maybe from point A to point D. How is your neutral stress or pore water pressure varying with your depth, that's from point A to point D. And effective stress, how is it varying from point A to point D. So we'll try to look at it, and we'll try to solve it. Okay, so before we start going ahead, please make a note of all the data that is existing in the problem, that is with regard to each of the soil strata. Okay, so we are given with three. Okay, it's a two-layered soil only. One is a sandy soil strata, other is a clayey soil strata. But even in that case of sandy soil strata, you have different condition of the sand. So automatically, the number of soil layers that you have there is 3 number of soil layers is what I have. So layer 1 is having the unit weight 15.1 kilonewton per meter cube, having a height which is 1.8 meters. Layer 2 is having a unit weight of soil strata that is 16.3 kilonewton per meter cube, and height is 1.6 meters. And layer 3 is a clayey soil strata which has got the unit weight 19.8 kilonewton per meter cube, having the height 2.9 meters. So now our objective is to calculate how much is the total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress. You are required to calculate your total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress at those different points what are given. That is at point A, at subsequent other points, that is point B, and point C, and point D. So at all these four different points, you are required to calculate sigma value, U value, and sigma dash value. So we'll go ahead in calculating it. Yeah. Total stress at point A, if I am trying to calculate. Okay. So what do I have over and above point A? I don't have any material existing over and above the position of point A. So automatically the total stress what we are going to be calculating at point A is nothing but it is simply equal to 0. Next, if I want to calculate the pore water pressure at point A, so how much is my pore water pressure at point A? If I am going to insert a standpipe, or where do I have the position of point A? Where do I have the position of water table? Water table is below your point A. So whenever your water table is below the position of point A and there is no effect of capillarity represented here, so automatically your point A, at point A, your pore water pressure is nothing but it is equal to 0, because there is no existence of water table to exert what is called as the pressure inside the pore spaces. Okay, so your pore water pressure at point A is nothing but it is simply equal to 0. So once we say the pore water pressure at point A is equal to 0, then automatically I can mention that your effective stress at point A is nothing but your total stress at point A minus pore water pressure that we have got at point A. So 0 minus 0 is simply nothing but 0. So I can say your so-called effective stress what you are going to be getting at point A is nothing but it is equal to 0. Now likewise, let us go ahead in calculating how much is my total stress at point B. So if I want to understand how much is my total stress at the point B position, that is at this depth position. So the soil which is there over and above the position of point B is going to be contributing for estimating the total stress at point B. And that soil has got the unit weight 15.1 kilonewton per meter cube over a depth of 1.8 meter. So I can simply say my total stress what I am going to have is nothing but 15.1 into 1.8. 15.1 into 1.8 is my total stress that I am going to be getting at point B position. And right next, at point B, when I am required to calculate your pore water pressure, so my position of water table is below your point B position. So automatically the pore water pressure, if you are trying to insert a standpipe at point B, there will not be any rise in water level because you don't have any water body existing at your position of point B, because the water table is far below the position of point B. So automatically the pore water pressure what you are going to be getting at point B position is nothing but simply equal to 0. So once I get your total stress and your pore water pressure, then the effective stress what we have at point B is nothing but your total stress 27.18 kilonewton cube is my effective stress at your point B position. Now similarly, if I go ahead in calculating how much is my total stress, pore water pressure and effective stress at other points, that is point C and point D. So let's go ahead. Total stress at point C, if I want to calculate, so the total stress at point C will be because of, okay, yeah, total stress at this point is nothing but it is due to the effect of the soil strata existing over the first 1.8 meter and the next 1.6 meter. So once I say the total stress at point C, it is due to the effect of the soil layer 1, that is first sandy layer, and effect of second sandy layer. Both put together gives you what is your total stress at point C. So if I start writing down, so total stress at point C is nothing but it is equal to first soil layer has got the unit weight 15.1 into its corresponding depth was 1.8, and second sandy layer, what was the unit weight? 15.3 into corresponding height is 1.6 meters. So if we calculate this total stress at point C, what will the value that we will be getting? 53.26 kilonewton per meter square. That's otherwise I can also write it as simply kilopascal. So 53.26 kilopascal is the total stress at your point C. And let me move ahead in calculating my pore water pressure at point C. So pore water pressure at point C, if I just want to calculate at point C position only, you have the water table. Okay, so how much is my pore water pressure exactly at the position of your water table? So even exactly at the position of your water table, so your pore water pressure, because you will not see any rise in water level in case if you insert a standpipe even at the position of your water table. So the rise in water level in that standpipe is only till the position of your water table itself. So automatically the pressure head at point C is also nothing but equal to 0. So once the pressure head at point C is nothing but 0, then your pore water pressure what we can calculate at point C also is equal to 0. So effective stress at point C is simply nothing but 53.26 minus 0, which is equal to 53.26 kilopascal. So I have calculated even at point C whatever is the data that is required. Next, moving ahead, that is total stress at point D. Let us go ahead in calculating it. So total stress at point D, if I want to calculate, so that's nothing but here. So how much is my total stress at this depth position means because of the layer 1 effect, because of layer 2 effect, plus because of the layer 3 effect. So because of layer 1 effect, contribution coming into picture is 15.1 into 1.8 plus because of layer 2, already we have seen how to calculate 16.3 into 1.6. Okay. Next, plus because of layer 3, 19.8 into the corresponding depth is 2.9 meters, I think. Okay. So what will be the value that we'll be getting? 110.68 kilopascals is your total stress at point D, and pore water pressure now at point D, if I want to calculate, so I can just go ahead and saying like where is your position of point D from the water table? From the water table, the position of point D is at a depth of 2.9 meters. So in the sense, the corresponding pressure head what you are going to have at point D is nothing but it is equal to 2.9 meters. So once I understand how much is my pressure head, that's which is nothing but 2.9 meters. So the pressure head, which I am referring it as, okay, unit weight of water. First, let me write it as unit weight of water into the corresponding pressure head what I am going to be having with respect to the position of point D. Okay, unit weight of water, if I consider it as 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube, and the corresponding pressure head what I had is 2.9. So then 28.45 kilopascal is your pore water pressure at the position of point D. Then automatically the effective stress what I am going to be having. What's my effective stress at point D? 82.23 is my effective stress at point D position. So all the data what is required in the problem is now known, and I'll additionally try to even plot how the variation of total stress is varying with the depth, pore water pressure is varying with the depth, and effective stress is varying with the depth. So before I start going ahead, first I'll try to make some marking so that no, this will be easy for me to understand where is each and every individual layer that I am trying to look at, so that profile would become easy for me while plotting it. You need not draw these lines, I am just doing it only for my reference. Yeah, so first I am just trying to understand how is my total stress varying with the depth. Sigma, how is it varying with the depth? Now, what all depths? This is 0th meter, that is nothing but at the ground surface. This is 1.8 meter depth position. This is 3.4 meter depth position, because 1.8 plus 1.6, 3.4. So 3.4 plus I think 2.9 meters additionally. So total is 6.3 meter. So this 0th meter refers to point A, 1.8 meter depth position refers to point B, 3.4 meter depth position from the ground refers to point C, 6.3 meter depth position refers to that of your point D. Okay, just for my reference, I am noting it. Already we know how much is my total stress value at ground position. Okay, so how much was our total stress value at the ground? So total stress value at the ground was nothing but it is equal to 0. And what was the total stress value at depth B? Okay, so the value is 27.18 kilopascal. And at point C position, 53.26 kilopascal. And at point D position, 82.23 kilopascal. Now I am going to be, when I understand how is the, when I want to plot how is the variation existing over the depth of the soil strata. So at point A it is 0, at point B it is 27.18 kilopascal. So from point A to point B, how is it going to be varying? Means it is going to be varying linearly like this. And this straight line I will not be continuing, because when you look at the expression of a total stress at point B and at point C, you have different unit weight terms coming into picture. It's not the same unit weight term throughout the depth of the soil strata. In the sense, the property of the soil, that is the unit weight of the soil, is changing. So automatically the slope of that straight line what you are representing is also going to change. So even from point B position, which says 27.18 kilopascal, at point C your total stress which says that it is 53.26 kilopascal, these values are also going to be joined by the straight line, but not with the line which has got the same slope as that of what I have earlier represented. And once again, from point C to point D, I am going to join it by means of a straight line. And this tells me what is, it is 110.68, because the total stress is what I am trying to talk about. 110.23, right? That's how your total stress is varying with the depth. And now I'll be looking ahead in plotting how is your pore water pressure is varying with the depth. Okay, so pore water pressure, how is it varying with the depth? Different depths already I have marked for your reference earlier. So I'll not be just writing every time the depths again. Okay, so how much was my pore water pressure at ground position? Pore water pressure at ground position was 0. Pore water pressure at 1.8 meter, that is at point B, was also 0. Pore water pressure what we have calculated even at point C position was also 0. So, and pore water pressure what we had at point D, so this value was 45 kilopascal was the pore water pressure at point D. Now, so what I can simply do is, as from point A to point B, the value is going from 0 to 0. So it's obviously that your line is going to be intersecting with your vertical axis. Even from B to C also, it is 0 to 0 only. So it's once again coinciding with your vertical axis only. But from point C to point D, what has happened is your pore water pressure is varying from what value to what value? 0 value to 28.45. So from point C position, I'll just try to join the other point by means of a straight line. Okay, please assume this is the point corresponding to 28.45 kilopascal. Okay, so it's a straight line. Though I'm drawing roughly, please understand that that's going to be a straight line because the equation of your pore water pressure is linearly dependent on your depth. Okay, so it's directly proportional to depth, which is to the power 1 only. So it's a linear equation. So that's the reason why the variation is also going to be a straight line. Okay, next, the similar way, you can plot your variation of your effective stress with the depth again. Yeah, effective stress, how is it varying with the depth? So at the ground level, effective stress, that is at point A, the effective stress what we have calculated, we have got it to be 0. At point B position, the effective stress which we have calculated is 27.18 kilopascal. At point C, the effective stress that is calculated was coming out to be 53.26 kilopascal. And at point D position, the effective stress what was calculated was nothing but it is 82.23 kilopascal, I think, right? So I'll be joining these points by means of the simple straight lines. And that's how, please, they are straight lines. Ajam, understand that they are straight lines. Don't see sir is drawing some curve, it means it is a curve. Okay, it's a straight line. I could not draw it properly. Right. So this is how we can go ahead in estimating the stresses, how they are going to be varying with the depth of the soil strata. Okay. Next, let us move ahead in, this is the exact way how we are going to be having the calculations in those respective terms. If you put in, you will be getting those values which we have already calculated. Just I am showing you this reference picture so that now you will be understanding. When I said straight line, so it is exactly a straight line. It's not that the kind of line which I have drawn. Okay, right. So next, let us move ahead in solving another problem what is given. Okay, so at point A, at point B, at point C, you are required to calculate your total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress values. Okay, so if I am required to calculate total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress at those different points like point A, point B, and point C, then how do we do? So whatever we have seen earlier, in the similar way, we will be trying to solve it. Okay. So let me try and solve it here itself. Sorry. Yeah, total stress at point A. So how much is going to be my total stress at point A? I don't have any material existing over and above the position of point A. So automatically the total stress at point A is nothing but is equal to 0. And what is going to be my pore water pressure at point A? Pore water pressure at point A. Where is the position of water table? Water table is at the position of point B. So automatically your as the water table is below the position of point A, so there will not be any pore water pressure at point A position. As the position of water table is below point A, so your pore water pressure, whatever you are going to be calculating at point A position, is nothing but simply equal to 0. And effective stress that we calculate at point A is nothing but it is total stress at point A minus the pore water pressure at point A. So which is 0 minus 0, which is simply equal to 0. And likewise, at point B, if I want to calculate at this depth position, if I want to calculate what is my total stress, so total stress at point B is nothing but it is equal to total stress at point B is because of the material what is there over and above your point B position. What material I have got over and above the position of point B? So it's a 6-meter soil strata which has got the dry density value which is 16.5 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, so the unit weight of the soil strata is 16.5 kilonewton, which is existing over a depth of 6 meters. Kilopascal, 99 kilonewton per meter square is going to be the total stress at point B. Likewise, pore water pressure at point B. So position of water table is at point B. So and pore water pressure what I am looking at in calculating is also at point B. So automatically the pressure head corresponding to point B position wherever you have your water table. So it's simply nothing but 0. Pressure head is nothing but 0. Once the pressure head is 0, the pore water pressure what we are going to be even getting at point B is also nothing but 0. And next, effective stress. If I want to calculate effective stress at point B, effective stress at point B is nothing but total stress at point B minus the pore water pressure at point B. So total stress we have already seen how to calculate. So which is nothing but 99 minus 0. So which gives me the effective stress at point B is also nothing but 99 kilopascal. And next, moving ahead in seeing how to calculate your total stress at point C position. So total stress at point C position if I wanted to calculate. Okay, so total stress at point C. So total stress at point C is nothing but due to the effect of first 6-meter soil strata and next 13-meter soil strata, we are going to be calculating the total stress at point C. So first 6-meter soil strata will give you some amount of stress, that is nothing but 16.5 is the unit weight of the first soil strata into the corresponding depth is 6 meters plus unit weight of the second soil strata, which is nothing but the saturated sand, which has got the unit weight which is 19.25 into the corresponding depth is 13 meters. So which gives you your total stress at point C value to be 349.25 is your total stress at point C. And subsequently, the pore water pressure if I am trying to calculate at point C. So pore water pressure at point C, if I am trying to calculate, so where is the position of point C from the water table position? So from the water table, the point C is at a depth of 13 meters. So subsequently, your pressure head value at point C is nothing but 13 meters. And unit weight of water is what we write it as gamma W into the pressure head corresponding to the point C position. So unit weight of water 9.81 into the pressure head value is 13. 7.53 kilopascal is your pore water pressure at point C. And the effective stress at point C, if I am going to be calculating, it's nothing but 349.25 is the total stress at point C minus the pore water pressure at point C is 127.53. So the effective stress that we calculate at point C comes out to be 21.72 kilopascals is your effective stress at point C. So that's how you can try to calculate what is required in the problem. Okay. So next, moving on with the next problem, what we have got. So here in this case, it is said you are going to have an upward flow. Why is that upward flow is existing in this case? Because at a point B position, your so-called total head, if you are trying to calculate, has the total head at point B is higher than that of your total head at point A position. So that indicates that your flow, whatever is going to happen through the soil strata, will happen from point B to point A direction. Okay, so that's nothing but simply in the upward direction. So because of the flow in the upward direction, what we are asked to calculate is calculate the total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress at points A and B. Okay, both at point A and point B, we are required to calculate your total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress. That is question 1. And question 2 is what is the upward seepage force per unit volume of soil? So for every unit volume of soil, how much is the upward seepage force that is acting? Okay, per unit in the unit volume of soil strata, how much is the upward seepage force that is existing in the soil? Okay, that is what we are required to calculate. So in the process of calculating that values, question 1, that is total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress. Okay, So let us go ahead in seeing how to calculate those values. Total stress at point A, if I want to start calculating. So where is the position of point A? Here is the position of point A. And this all different material what I have over and above the position of point A will contribute towards your total stress at point A. Okay. So once I start writing down the total stress at point A, what do I have over and above the position of point A? First 0.7 meters is the water strata, or it's the water body, and next 1 meter is your soil strata. Okay. So first let us understand what are the properties of the soil, what is the unit weight of the soil, whether do we have that particular data available with us or not. Okay. So unit weight of the soil is not directly given, but we know that as there is a seepage taking place, so obvious that this particular condition is a saturated soil condition. So for this saturated soil, let me calculate the unit weight. So for calculating the unit weight, that's a saturated unit weight. If you can recall, we have an expression like this: GS plus E by 1 plus E into gamma W. Okay. So specific gravity of soil solids is given. Void ratio of the soil, what is existing there, is also given. So unit weight of water, you can consider it as 9.81, which is the standard value. So can you please calculate saturated unit weight of this soil and tell me the value? 20.59 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, is the saturated unit weight of this particular soil. Okay, so once I know the saturated unit weight of this soil strata, then I can go ahead and now calculating what is my total stress at point A position. So if I want to calculate what is my total stress at point A position, total stress at point A is due to the first 0.7 meters depth of water. So it's nothing but unit weight of water is 9.81 into 0.7 plus. This is because of your first 0.7 meters. And next, because of your next 1 meter depth, because point A is at a depth of 1 meter from the top of your soil strata. Okay. So for the next 1 meter, unit weight of that 1 meter depth of saturated soil is 20.59 kilonewton per meter cube, and depth is 1 meter. So automatically my total stress what I calculate at point A comes out to be 27.46 kilopascal is my total stress at point A position, and the pore water pressure at point A if I want to calculate. So how much is going to be my pore water pressure at point A? If I try to insert a standpipe at point A position, what would be the rise in water level in that particular standpipe at point A? When the standpipe is inserted here, the rise in water body in the standpipe is still here. That means the pressure head at this particular position is nothing but 0.7 meters. And at the position of point B, when the standpipe is inserted, the pressure head corresponding to the standpipe, if you look at here, the water is getting raised till this particular height in the standpipe. So how much is my pressure head corresponding to the position of point B? Corresponding to the position of point B, the pressure head value is nothing but 2 plus 0.7 plus 1.5. The total pressure head value corresponding to the point B position. So let me write it. So pressure head corresponding to the point B position is nothing but 2 plus 0.7 plus 1.5 meter. Okay, so this total is nothing but 2.7 plus 1.5, that is 4.2 meters is my pressure head what I have got at point B position. Whereas the pressure head, let's say for example, this refers to some point C. I am considering some rough number, some reference point. Okay, so at point C, the pressure head value is nothing but 0.7 meter. At point B, the pressure head value is nothing but 4.2 meter. Now, where is your point A position? Point A position is somewhere in between point B and point C, and it is exactly at the mid distance between point B to point C. Here in this problem, the point A is at a height of 1 meter from point B, or it is at a depth of 1 meter from point C. So if the pressure head at point C is 0.7 meter, if the pressure head at point B is 4.2 meter, then what will be the pressure head at point A position? The pressure head what we are going to be having at point A position, if a standpipe is inserted here, so water would raise in that standpipe to some particular height like this. So to what height it will raise? It will not raise till here, that is for sure, and it is not going to raise only till here. It is going to raise something above this position and below this position. And what is this particular height? That's nothing but which we are calling it as a pressure head at point A position. So to what height the water would raise in the standpipe? So as the point A is at a mid distance between point B to point C, in this case, the pressure head value at point A is very simple, which I can refer it as your average value between point B to point C. Or in the other way, at point B position, at point A position, if I just want to understand how much is my pressure head, which I can try to write it as, just look at here, pressure head at point A is equal to what height the water got raised in the standpipe. So it's nothing but 1 meter. I'm just looking at this height. This is 1 meter. This is another additional 0.7 meter. And what is this height going to be? This total is 1.5 meter. When the water particle is going to travel from point B to point C, the total head loss is 1.5 meter. When the water particle is traveling only the half distance, what will be the head loss? It is only going to be the half of the head loss what you have when the water particle travels from point B to point C. So automatically, so when I am trying to write down my pressure head value at point A, so pressure head value at point A is nothing but 1 meter plus 0.7 meter plus half of that head loss value, that is 1.5 by 2. So the pressure head what we will be getting at point A position is nothing but 2.45 meter. So once I know how much is the pressure head at point A position, then automatically the pore water pressure at point A is nothing but unit weight of water, that is 9.81 into the pressure head value what you have got at point A. So which is 9.81 into 2.45. 24.03 kilopascal is the pore water pressure at point A. So my effective stress what I am going to be having at point A is nothing but 27.46 minus 24.03, 3.43 kilopascal is going to be my effective stress at point A position. Now similarly, if I want to calculate how much is my effective total stress, pore water pressure and effective stress at point B position, so I can still do that. My total stress at point B is nothing but, because of your 0.7 meter water body, some stress will be there at point B. Because of the next 2 meter saturated soil strata, I'll be having some more stress at point B. That is nothing but which I can write it as 9.81 into first 0.7 meter plus the saturated unit weight of the soil strata, which was 20.59 into the next 2 meters. Yeah, so this is going to be my total stress at point B position, 48.04. Okay, so 48.04 is my total stress at point B, and the pore water pressure at point B, if I am trying to calculate how much was my pressure head that I had at point B position. So with regard to the point B position, we have already calculated our pressure head value, and we said the pressure head corresponding to the point B position was nothing but it is 4.2 meter. So I can simply write down my pore water pressure at point B, which is nothing but the unit weight of water into the pressure head corresponding to your point B position. So that value was 4.2 meter. 41.20 kilopascal is your pore water pressure at point B. So automatically my effective stress what I will be getting at point B is total stress minus the pore water pressure at point B, which is equal to 48.04 minus 41.2. 4 kilopascal is my pore water pressure at effective stress at your point B. So all the data what is asked at point A and point B are calculated. Next, what else is asked in the problem is to calculate upward seepage force per unit volume of the soil. So upward seepage force per unit volume of soil, if I am trying to calculate, it's nothing but it is equal to I into gamma W. Already in the starting of today's class itself, I have shown you that. Now, what is this I equal to? I is nothing but hydraulic gradient. So how do we write down the hydraulic gradient? Hydraulic gradient is nothing but total head loss for the corresponding length of seepage. Seepage is happening where? Through the soil strata. So for the corresponding length of seepage through your soil strata. So head loss for the length of seepage is going to define you what is called as your hydraulic gradient. This ratio is what is nothing but we are writing it as hydraulic gradient into unit weight of water. Okay, so total head loss in the problem is nothing but 1.5 meter. What was the length of the soil strata through which the seepage is taking place? Total length of the soil strata through which the water is trying to seep in the upper direction is 2 meters. So 1.5 by 2 into unit weight of water, that is 9.81. 7.35. What is your seepage force? Okay, so here the data of force is nothing but kilonewton per unit volume is what we are referring to. Okay, so this is what is your upward seepage force per unit volume of the soil. That's how we can try to calculate that particular value. So the next problem what we have here is, so we are given with once again a soil strata, but in this case we are having the effect of capillary rise. Okay, so and even that when there is an effect of capillarity, what we clearly understand from this question is the soil is not fully getting saturated. I repeat, though there is an effect of capillary rise, still the soil is not fully getting saturated. Soil is only partially getting saturated even because of the effect of your capillary rise. Okay, only 50% of saturation is done, or only 50% of the saturation is completed in that particular soil strata, whichever is existing over your water table. Okay, above your water table, still in that in this particular zone. Okay, the soil is not fully saturated, rather it is partially saturated, and that corresponding partially saturated condition is governed based on your degree of saturation value. S is equal to 50%. In the sense, only 50% of the void spaces existing in that particular soil strata from point B to point C, that is over the depth of h2 meters. In that particular depth of the soil strata, the soil is in the zone of capillary rise, but however it is partially saturated. It's not completely saturated. So understand that. Yeah. So you are given with 3-layered soil. Layer 1 has got height 6 feet. Layer 2 has got height 3 feet. Layer 3 has got the height 6 feet again. Okay. So and what you are asked to calculate is plot the variation of sigma u and sigma dash with the depth. Okay. So total stress, how is it varying with the depth? Pore water pressure, how is it varying with the depth? Effective stress, how is it varying with the depth? Is what we are required to calculate. So let's go ahead in seeing how to calculate your total stress, pore water pressure, and effective stress at different depth positions. So let me start writing it here. I've got some space. Okay. So what is my total stress at point A? I don't have any soil strata or any material existing over and above the position of point A. So obviously the effect of self weight of non-existing material at point A is nothing but 0. So your total stress at point A position is simply equal to 0. And next, the pore water pressure, what we are going to be calculating at a point A position is nothing but it is equal to 0, because your water table is far below your position of point A, or neither at point A position you have the effect of what is called as the capillary. So there is no pore water pressure at point A position. So automatically your effective stress what you have at point A position is also nothing but 0. Next, let's go ahead in understanding how to calculate your total stress at point B. What is your total stress at point B? Total stress at point B is because of your soil layer 1, which is existing over a height of h1. That's nothing but 6 feet. Okay. So for first soil layer, I don't know what is the unit weight directly for that particular soil. So what is the data that is given to me is specific gravity of soil solids of that soil layer 1 is given, and void ratio of that particular soil 1 is given. Now from this data, I'll try to calculate what is the unit weight of the soil. Now what is the condition of this particular soil? So you are not given with any degree of saturation. It means that soil is not going to have any kind of saturation in it, neither the partially saturation condition or fully saturation condition. So it means that the soil what I am trying to refer to for layer 1 is a dry soil. Okay. So the corresponding unit weight of the dry soil, how do we write down? I can write down as GS into gamma W by 1 plus E, because GS data is known, E value is known, and unit weight of water is a standard value. So I can substitute those data into the expression to calculate what is the dry unit weight of this particular soil. So in the process, if I am going to be calculating the dry unit weight of this particular soil, I'll be getting the value as GS, I'll be substituting it as 2.65, and gamma W, let me make it very clear. Here, the units in which I am going to be talking about are going to be in LB and feet. Okay. So as I am going to be talking in terms of LB and feet, so your unit weight of water, or if you want height data, whatever is given to you, that is 6 feet, 3 feet, 6 feet, convert them into meters, and then accordingly substitute your unit weight of water in terms of your kilonewton per meter cube. No issue. Okay, that's up to you. If you want to convert your 6 feet, okay, we'll do that. 6 feet, if I try to convert it into meters, how many meters it will come out to be? 1 feet is 30 centimeters. 6 into 30 is 180 centimeters, which is nothing but I can write it as 1.8 meter. Okay. So H1 value is nothing but 1.8 meter. Likewise, H2 value is what I'll have as 0.9 meter, and H3 value is once again nothing but 1.8 meters. So once you have your height already calculated in terms of meters, then your gamma W, whatever you have here, can be substituted in terms of your kilonewton per meter cube. No issue. Okay, so that's nothing but 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube is going to be the unit weight of water. GS data is known, E value is known. Dry density of this particular soil, 17.3 kilonewton per meter cube is the dry density of this soil layer 1. So once I know the dry density of that particular soil layer 1, so the total stress at point B is nothing but 17.3 into what is the depth of that soil strata 1 in meters? It's 1.8. So 1.1. Next, the pore water pressure at a point B. Now, how much is my pore water pressure at point B? So you have to be little careful when you are calculating the pore water pressure at point B. Why? Because just above the position of point B, it is a dry soil. Just below the position of point B, you have the effect of capillary rise there. Okay. So when you are estimating the pore water pressure at point B position, so please be careful. So this pore water pressure, what I am trying to talk about. So pore water pressure at point B, maybe let me write it as something minus. Okay. So what does this minus indicate? Above. Or let me write it. Pore water pressure at point B, above. Okay. So above that point B position, the pore water pressure what we are going to be getting is simply nothing but it is equal to 0, because it's a dry soil. You don't have any pressure head corresponding to that point B position, just above that point B position. So automatically the pore water pressure what you calculate at a point B comes out to be equal to 0. Repeat, it simply comes out to be equal to 0. But when you try to calculate your pore water pressure at point B slightly below the position of point B, so pore water pressure slightly below the position of point B, if I am trying to write down, so how much that value comes out to be. Okay. So I have to be clearly understanding how does the pore water pressure varies in that particular case. So what we have seen maybe in the last subsequent class, when you have an effect of capillary rise, we understood that because of the effect of capillary rise, let's say for example, if I am trying to plot the variation of the pore water pressure roughly, just for my reference understanding, if I just want to understand how does the pore water pressure varies with the depth, where do I have the water table? Here is the position of the water table. Okay. Here is the position of the water table. So how much is going to be your pore water pressure at the position of the water table? Pore water pressure at the position of water table is always equal to 0. And as you move into the deeper and deeper depth, the pore water pressure is going to be continuously increasing, where that pore water pressure at any particular depth below the water table, if you want to calculate, can be calculated as simply gamma W into Z. At what depth below the water table you are talking about? At a depth of 1 meter or 2 meters or 3 meters or 4 meters. Let's say at the depth of point D, that means here. Okay, so at point D position, if I want to know how much is my pore water pressure, okay, so the pore water pressure at point D, I'm just writing D. So the pore water pressure at point D position is nothing but 9.81 is the unit weight of water into, where is the point D from the water table? Point D is at a depth of 1.8 meters from the water table position. That's nothing but I can write it as 9.81 into 1.8. 17.65 kilopascal is the pore water pressure at point D. Whether it is a positive pore water pressure or a negative pore water pressure. Pore water pressure, whatever we try to talk because of the effect of water table, that is what is considered as a positive pore water pressure. Okay, the pore water pressure, whatever we calculate because of the effect of capillary rise, that is what we call it as here negative pore water pressure, because the pressure head is in the reverse direction. So that's the reason we get the pore water pressure, which we call it as here negative pore water pressure. Please do understand that. Okay. Right, now the water table position, that is nothing but at point C, the pore water pressure is nothing but 0. At point D, the pore water pressure, I have calculated it as 17.65 kilopascal. Now, where is that I want to now look at in calculating my pore water pressure? Okay, so at the point B position, just slightly below your point B position, that means somewhere slightly here, I just want to understand how much is my pore water pressure. Okay, just below the position of point B. Once I say just below the position of point B, maybe somewhere at this particular depth, that's it. Okay, so how much is my pore water pressure? If you can recall, how did we plot the variation of your pore water pressure towards your capillary rise direction? What is going to happen is, the pore water pressure, what we are going to be representing, will be varying like this. Now, what is happening? The more the capillary rise, more is going to be your negative pore water pressure, what you are going to be having. I repeat, we say HC, we represented something what is called as HC, which we said HC is nothing but what is called as capillary rise. The more is the capillary rise, more is going to be your negative pore water pressure. Because your so-called negative pore water pressure, which we are going to be writing, is nothing but it is your capillary rise into the unit weight of water. That capillary rise, what is it indicating? Capillary rise indicating your pressure head, but in the negative direction, reverse direction. That's what it is. Okay, so which we simply write it as minus HC into gamma W. Okay, in this case, in this particular problem, till where your capillary water is getting raised in the interconnected void spaces in the capillary path, till what height the water is getting raised above the water table. So water is getting raised till here above the water table position because of the effect of capillarity. So then what is the magnitude of your negative pore water pressure? Here I am indicating it as negative. Why it is negative? Because it is due to the effect of capillary rise. I am trying to calculate your pore water pressure value. And below the water table, the pore water pressure is what I am writing it as the positive pore water pressure, because it is below the position of water table. That subsequent pore water pressure is nothing but which we call it as your positive pore water pressure. Okay, so this, how much is the intensity of that negative pore water pressure at the position of point B, just below the position of point B, if I want to write down. So it's nothing but the capillary rise. Negative symbol indicates it is here negative pore water pressure, what I am trying to talk about. And how much is that capillary rise? The rise of capillarity, it is over a depth of H2 meters in the soil strata. So what is that H2 meters? The H2 depth, what we are trying to talk about. Okay, I am writing it. Pore water pressure at point B, slightly below, is what I am referring to. Okay, so this value is nothing but, what is my capillary rise value? So it's nothing but 0.9 meters is your capillary rise, the height till which you have the effect of capillarity. So that's 0.9 into 9.81 is the unit weight of water. Okay, so this is equal to minus 8.83 kilopascal. Okay, now I have calculated something. Can you please tell me whether it is correct or wrong? Degree of saturation is not 100%. If the degree of saturation is 100%, then the approach what we have followed in calculating your negative pore water pressure was correct. I repeat, if the degree of saturation value in the capillary zone, if it is 100%, then the approach what we have followed for calculating the pore water pressure is correct. Negative pore water pressure, the approach what we have adopted is correct. But here it is not correct. This value that we have calculated is not correct. Even this expression what I have directly used here is also not correct. Sir, then what is correct? Okay, so in general form, I can say pore water pressure, because of the effect of capillarity. Okay, so because of the effect of capillarity, if I am trying to calculate the pore water pressure, which I can simply write it as minus HC into S gamma double. Now, what does this S indicates here? Here, SR in the other way, I can also write it as SR. SR indicates degree of saturation. Okay. So now let me go ahead in writing down how much is my so-called negative pore water pressure at this point B position. So let me go calculate that pore water pressure at point B, just slightly below the position of point B. So capillary rise here in the problem, it is said that capillary effect is having from point C to point B. Okay, so when I say point C to point B, the effect of capillary rise there is nothing but over a height of h2, where it is nothing but 0.9 meters is what we have represented as. So 0.9 into the respective degree of saturation what we had in the soil strata is only 50%, so which I can write it as 0.5. that same 50% in the fraction I am writing it as 0.5 into the unit weight of water, that is nothing but 9.81. Yeah, the calculated value comes out to be 4.41 kilopascal is your pore water pressure at point B, slightly below the position of point B, which is a negative quantity which I have already represented here. Is it clear? Okay, so above the position of point B, the pore water pressure is 0. Below the position of point B, the pore water pressure is minus 4.41 kilopascal. And next, moving on to calculate your effective stress also in the similar way. Effective stress at point B, slightly above. It is total stress at point B, slightly above, minus the pore water pressure what we have calculated at point B, slightly above. Okay, so what was our total stress at point B, slightly above or slightly below? It is going to be the same. I need not specifically understand what is my total stress, because total stress is all because of the weight of the material which is there over and above your point B. So all the material is already taken just at point B or slightly above point B. It doesn't make much variation in the calculated value of your total stress at point B. So that's the reason why I didn't specifically say total stress at point B slightly above, slightly below. What I was trying to specifically talk only with regard to your pore water pressure slightly above and slightly below. Yeah, total stress at point B 31.14 minus this pore water pressure value was 0. So your effective stress at point B, slightly above your position of point B, comes out to be what is nothing but 31.14 kilopascal. In the similar way, if I start writing down how much is my effective stress at point B slightly below, so it's nothing but total stress at point B either above or below is one and the same, minus the pore water pressure what we had at point B slightly below, so which is nothing but this 31.14 minus, yeah, what was the pore water pressure at point B slightly below? So minus of minus, it becomes plus. So it's 35.28 kilopascal is your effective stress at point B, slightly below. And now we can go ahead in calculating how much is my total stress at point C, pore water pressure at point C, and effective stress at point C. So total stress at point C is because of the material which is there over and above your point C. That is nothing but first H1 meters of soil strata and H2 meters of soil strata. H1 meters of soil strata has got a dry density value of 17.33 into the height was 1.8 meter plus soil strata 2. Now, if you look at your soil strata 2, we do not know what is the unit weight of this soil strata 2, and it is a saturated, partially saturated soil. So, in the case of partially saturated soil, how do we calculate the unit weight? GS plus S into E by 1 plus E into gamma W. This will be the expression what we can use for calculating the unit weight of your soil which is there in the zone of capillarity. Okay, specific gravity of soil solids is 2.65, E value is 0.5, degree of saturation is also 0.5, unit weight of water is 9.81, 18.97 into what is the height? 0.9 meters. So that gives me what is my total stress at point C, 48.26 kilopascal. Next, pore water pressure at point C. So where is point C? Point C is the position where you have your water table. Okay, so there exactly is your water table. So at that point C position, wherever you have your water table, so obviously your pore water pressure is nothing but 0. So once we say pore water pressure at point C is 0, the effective stress at point C is nothing but 48.26 minus 0. So which is simply equal to 48.26 kilopascals is your effective stress at point C. Now, total stress, pore water pressure and effective stress at point C is known. Next, let us go ahead in calculating the total stress. The total stress at point D, if I am trying to calculate, it is because of the first layer H1 meters, second layer H2 meters, third layer H3 meters. So H3, when I am looking at the unit weight of that H3 layer is also not known. So with the data what is available, let me calculate your the saturated unit weight of that particular soil, and it is said this particular soil is a clay soil. Yeah. So in the case of saturated soil, how do we write down the expression to calculate your saturated unit weight? It's nothing but GS plus E by 1 plus E into gamma W. Now, do we have all the data for calculating this saturated unit weight of the clay soil? GS data is known 2.71, E value is not known, but what data we have got here is water content. Okay, so we have one relation between void ratio, water content, and specific gravity of soil solids. E is nothing but W into GS by SR, as the soil is fully saturated because it is there below the water table. So automatically the degree of saturation value in that case is nothing but 1. So water content is known, which is 42%. So I can substitute it as 0.42 is the water content. Specific gravity of soil solids is 2.71. Then automatically what is the void ratio that I am going to be getting? 0.42 into 2.71. 1.13 is the void ratio of this layer 3 soil. If void ratio is 1.13, then what is going to be your saturated unit weight of the soil by substituting your GS value and E value and gamma W value? 17.68 kilonewton per meter cube is the saturated unit weight of the clay according to the number what you have told me. So now let me go ahead in calculating what is my total stress at point D. So total stress at point D is nothing but because of the first layer. When I say because of the first layer, that is 7.33 is the unit weight of the first soil layer into the corresponding height of the first soil layer, that is 1.8 meters, plus because of the second layer. When I say because of the second layer, the unit weight of the second layer soil strata is 18.97 into the height is 0.9 meters, plus because of the third layer. What is that unit weight that we have calculated? 17.68. Okay, into the corresponding height is 1.8 meters, 80.07. Okay, so I have my total stress at point D. Then the pore water pressure at point D, already I have calculated earlier. So where the value of pore water pressure at point D was 17.65 kilopascal, and sigma D dash, that is nothing but effective stress at point D, is nothing but total stress at point D minus the pore water pressure that we have got at point D. So it is nothing but 80.03 minus 17.65, 32.38 kilopascals. So we know how much is our total stress, pore water pressure, effective stress at all those points what we were looking at. So I can simply go ahead in plotting how is your total stress varying with the depth. Okay, so total stress, how is it varying with depth? What depths I am looking at? 0th meter, 1.8 meter, next 0.9 meters means it is 2.7 meter, next 1.8 meter means it is 4.5 meter depth. Okay, so how much was my total stress at 0th meter? Total stress at 0th meter was 0. That's nothing but at point A. And how much was my total stress at point B position? 31.14 kilopascal was the total stress at point B position. That is nothing but at a depth of 1.8 meters from the top. And at a depth of 2.7 meters from the top, that's nothing but at point C. What was our total stress value? 48.25 kilopascal. And at the depth of 4.5 meter, what was our total stress value? 80.03 kilopascal. So I am going to be joining these points from here to here by means of a proper straight line. From here to here, another by means of a straight line. From here to here, once again by means of a straight line. That tells me how is your total stress varying with the depth. And next, subsequently, let us go ahead in understanding how is your pore water pressure varying with the depth. Okay, so this side indicates positive direction of pore water pressure. This side indicates the negative pore water pressure with the depth. Okay, at 0th meter, what was our pore water pressure value? 0. This is the position of point B. Slightly above the position of point B, the pore water pressure was 0. So I am marking that 0 value here. And slightly below the position of point B, how much was our pore water pressure? Minus is indicated on this side. So magnitude is 4.41 kilopascal. Is this clear? At point C, how much was the pore water pressure? So at point C, the pore water pressure was once again 0. At point D, how much was the pore water pressure? It is 17 kilopascal. So look at here how we are going to be joining. Just slightly above the point B, it was 0. Just slightly below the position of point B, it is minus 4.41. So there itself, I have a sudden variation in the pore water pressure value. I repeat, there itself, I have a sudden variation in the pore water pressure value. It is going from 0 to 4.41 minus 4.41 kilopascal. The pore water pressure sudden variation is from 0 to minus 4.41 kilopascal value. And from point B to point C, it is becoming 0. From point C to point D, it is getting changed from 0 to 17.65 kilopascal. This is how your negative pore water pressure is varying with the depth. Okay, so this is a positive pore water pressure. This is indicating you the negative pore water pressure. And next, if you are trying to plot the variation of your effective stress with the depth, so you can do that. Already we have that data. Please do add those points and accordingly try to plot it. Yeah, effective stress at 0th meter is 0. Effective stress just slightly above the position of point B. How much is the effective stress slightly above the position of point B? It's nothing but 31.14 kilopascal. I'm not putting kilopascal, space may not be sufficient. Okay. So what has happened is from here to here, it has increased to 31.14 kilopascal. Next, slightly below the position of point B, what is your effective stress value? It is 35.55 kilopascal. So what has happened? There is a sudden increase in your pore water pressure value. Sorry, not pore water pressure. There is a sudden increase in your effective stress value. From where to where it is suddenly increasing? 31.14 kilopascal to 35.55 kilopascal. So there is a sudden increase in your effective stress value. Next, at point C position, how much is your effective stress value? 48.26. Join from here to here by means of a straight line. See, understand how is that I am plotting from where to where I am joining it. From 31.14 to 35.55 at the same depth, there is a sudden increase. Then from 35.55, it is continuously increasing to a value which is 48.26 kilopascal. And at this point D position, that is at a depth of 4.5 meter, how much is our effective stress value? 62.38 kilopascal. Okay, so from here to here, once again by means of a straight line. Right, this is how we are going to be plotting how is the variation of your total stress varying with the depth, pore water pressure varying with the depth, and effective stress varying with the depth. Okay, so I'll stop our discussion for today here, and we'll continue our discussion in the next subsequent class.